Independent Catholic school is set to open in our area in the fall of 2024, but there's still not a location or funds raised for the school. The three founders of the school are also moms who homeschool their children and have careers of their own. After receiving full approval from Bishop Hying and the diocese, they will be opening Chesterton Academy, Queen of Martyrs. These women say they are moving by faith and listening to the needs of the community.
I think our ultimate goal is to raise saints, to get children to heaven, and to raise joyful Catholic leaders who are equipped to do whatever God calls them to do after high school.
There will be an informational gathering for families interested and wanting to know more about this school. It'll be held on June 13th at St. Albert the Great Catholic Church at 7 p.m.